Angus Gidley-Baird is the Senior Proteins Analyst at Rabobank. Good to have you with us again, Angus.
Not a problem, Ricky. Always good to chat.
Let's talk about cattle first of all. A major development on the cattle front for our friends over in South America. Is that going to have any impact on the Australian market?
Oh, I don't think we'll see too much of an impact here. We have seen in the past, Brazil got, they voluntarily suspended their trade with China back in 21 when they had an atypical BSE case. Same thing happened here again. It's been resolved a lot quicker. I think it's probably about a month, less than a month. So while there was a little bit less beef going to China from Brazil in the last month or so, I don't think it would have really upset the trade too much. And at the end of the day, we probably won't see much here from an Australian cattle market point of view.
But the cattle market needs some sort of injection of positivity in it. We saw the heady prices in recent years, but they are so low. They're almost below the sheep price at the moment, according to Meat and Livestock Australia.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's been a pretty steady run down since late October. There are a few little hiccups along the way, early December, and then another little one in January, but yeah, it's sort of been a little bit of, you might almost call it free fall. And if you're looking at the last 2 years' worth of prices, it does look pretty dire, but back around about the 5-year average. We can't forget that, prior to 2020, prices were a lot lower than where they are today. So, they have been falling. They are not as good as what they were, but, and we think they're probably a little bit softer than where they should be, but the last week, there's been a little bit of an upside. Now, whether that's sort of the market starting to correct and come back up again, or whether it's just a momentary sort of blip as we see, good rainfalls across Queensland, etc., might have stimulated a little bit of buyer interest, but also held some numbers back. But, I think we must be getting close to that bottom.
Yeah, you would certainly hope so. But on the sheep side of the equation, the price, it's moving around a lot, but it's showing relative stability compared to what we're seeing in cattle.
Yeah, it is. It's been hovering around that sort of 700 cents mark for lambs, heavy lambs. So that's encouraging. I think, with the volumes that we see on the market at the moment, we were talking just a minute ago about cattle, and they're still below their 5-year average in terms of slaughter numbers at the moment, whereas lamb slaughter numbers are well and truly in line with their 5-year average and sometimes pushing above it. So a lot more lambs in the system. We've also got a lot more sheep as flocks have rebuilt a lot quicker in the sheep complex. So a lot more in the system. They're probably facing similar challenges to beef, possibly a little bit more acute in terms of some of that softer demand, but they're holding up reasonably well given the volume of lambs in the market.
All right, and is there, just on the export market for either the cattle or the sheep, we talked before about Brazil coming back on when it comes to cattle exports. Is there more news or positive news on the horizon maybe for either our cattle or sheep exports?
Yeah, well, from a cattle point of view, that US market, they reached their peak in cow slaughter. We're expecting their slaughter numbers to come down. It's starting to reflect in some of the overall numbers now. Cattle on feed, cattle going into feed, etc., starting to come down. We did see that US import price for lean trimmings lift a little bit in the last couple of weeks. So that's encouraging. Whether that's just because, the US is in the middle of winter at the moment and they've stopped their cow slaughter and that might be lifting demand. But it is, I suppose, sort of an indication that we might start to see that US market lift from a price point of view, and that'll provide support across the whole global market.
All right. Well, it's good to get that information there from Angus Gidley-Baird at Rabobank. Angus, where can people find out more? You give plenty more information to your customers.
Yeah, so they can always search for Rabo Research. There is a website. It has it all on there. We do like to make sure that the clients get it, so it's a bit locked down. But I've got a Twitter handle too, Angus_GB, if anyone wants to jump on there. I'm not super active, but you can always reach out through that.
Thanks again, Angus. Have a good weekend.
No worries. Thanks, Ricky.